business community. Our bi-weekly web series, A ChiBizHub Conversation, is dedicated to providing information and access to subject matter experts on topics important to you, like today's topic on insurance. Our business resource providers and the small business communities we serve are the lifeline of our community. Today's conversation is focused on insurance. Before we get started, we want to remind you that whenever you seek resources to support your business, visit us at ChiBizHub.com. For information on COVID-related resources, support, and information on upcoming webinars, you can turn to our support portal, ChiBizHub.com/COVID-19. It is now our pleasure to invite Jasmine Garcia, Program Manager, ChiBizHub, to begin today's conversation.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. And welcome, everyone. Just want to share a little bit about ChiBizHub. ChiBizHub is the city's online portal that links expert service providers to Chicago's small businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups looking to start, scale, or accelerate their business. In the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, we quickly shifted our work to include webinars like the one today, providing a forum where our small business owners and operators can gather and get real-time information and have the chance to get questions answered and connect with other small business owners. In sum, we're all in this together. I welcome you to visit ChiBizHub.com and check out all the small business resource providers that we have available. It is now my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Kendra, the other side of ChiBizHub.
Thank you, Jasmine. Definitely appreciate the introduction. So my name is Kendra Thomas, and I am Jasmine's colleague, the other half business resource manager. And so we have a jam-packed agenda today, and we are so grateful to have three fabulous panelists. So before I get started with introducing them, just wanted to share with you our run-up show for today. So we actually will be moving forward, and we will have an introduction that I will share for each of our panelists. And from there, we will start our panel discussion, and we will have a brief Q&A after. So thank you all again for joining. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started and share a little bit more about some of the people that we have here. So I'm going to actually start with Miss Anna Maria. So thank you for joining. And so just a little bit about Anna Maria. The name of her company is Vitti Companies. Vitti Companies is a third-generation family-owned business, and congratulations, they're actually celebrating 80 years, so that's a phenomenal accomplishment. They actually are a full-service insurance agency that is licensed in most states, and they help not only businesses, but also individuals and families with their insurance needs. They can also help businesses with group health, and also, but not limited to, general liability, property, workers' compensation, E&O, product liability, cyber, and other various coverages that businesses may need. So they are an independent agent, and what that means is that they represent many different insurance companies, so they can shop your insurance around and they can find the coverage that's best for you, even if there is a situation where there is a difficult risk. So they actually help businesses of all sizes, and they have developed a startup division as well. So with their startup division, they have actually created, and they have a unique need of entrepreneurs and startups and small businesses in mind that they're assisting. So we are super excited and grateful to have Ms. Ana Maria here today. Our next panelist is Mr. Jose Suarez. So Jose specializes in developing property and casualty insurance programs with a focus on construction, real estate, and manufacturing companies. Prior to Assurance, Jose worked at one of the largest insurance companies in North America, where he helped develop insurance programs for Fortune 100 companies. Prior to that, Jose worked for the largest insurance broker in the US, focusing on real estate and private equity risks. So Jose actually is going to bring over 15 years of insurance experience to the panel today. So thank you, Jose, for that. And he works closely with his clients to fully understand their specific needs. So we know that there are a lot of you that are tuning in that really want that one-on-one help and really have some questions. So Jose may be the person that can help you. So he specifically has a specialty in working with disadvantaged business enterprises, minority business enterprises, women business enterprises and veteran business enterprise that are certified companies. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Benny Curie. And so we are super excited to have him. Benny Curie is the owner of MB Financial Strategies, and he's a registered representative with New York Life Securities, LLC. He's also a licensed insurance agent with that company. And so MBC Financial Strategies is not owned or operated by New York Life Securities. They are separate entities, just so you are aware. He's also a certified practitioner of the macro asset perspective. He lives in Chicago in the Hyde Park neighborhood with his wife, and they have 2 children, a son and daughter. So thank you all for joining. We are, again, extremely excited to have you. And I know we want to just go ahead and jump right in, and we want to learn more about your actual company. So tell us more about what you do, and then also share with us what community or neighborhood do you serve? And when you think about your client base, talk to us a little bit about where those clients or business owners are located in the city of Chicago. Benny, would you mind sharing a little bit with us?
Sure. So yes, I am the owner of NBC Financial Strategies, and it's a practice that focuses on really financial risk management, primarily through life and disability insurance, investments, and long-term care planning. Those are my key focus areas. And I basically help my clients to protect what matters most when it comes to their money, their income from loss of life or disability, their retirement savings, and their estate. And that protection could be anything from taxes to inflation, rising interest rates, the longevity of life, and health, chronic health concerns as well. When it comes to business owners in particular, I help them to safeguard everything from their human life value to their mortgage, their college savings plans, and their retirement nest egg. And I do this largely on a tax advantaged basis. And life insurance plays a key role in that area. It's a great way to help business owners to reduce their federal income taxes today and in the future, to protect their business interests, particularly if they're in a partnership, and also to build a legacy for their business as well as their family. I live in Hyde Park and work a lot from Hyde Park right now thanks to COVID, but under normal circumstances, I keep an office in the Loop and also one in Deerfield. And again, while I'm based in Illinois, a lot of my clients are in Illinois and Indiana, but my home state is Missouri. I work a lot there as well, but I'm also licensed in many other states in the country as well. And I basically work to meet my clients where they're at, and these days, virtually.
Thank you so much for sharing. Jose, would you mind sharing a little bit about what you do, your organization, and what communities you currently serve?
Sure. So Jose Suarez, part of Assurance Agency. Like VD, we are an independent agency. We actually were acquired by Marsh on April 1st. Marsh being the #1 insurance broker in the United States. And as of April 1st, now we're under the Marsh umbrella. So we're still independent. We still keep our identity, but now we work under the umbrella, which has just opened up us to more resources and more markets that we're able to serve our clients with. And me specifically, I've been working with the Latino community. I've been working in the Little Village area. I'm a member of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm a member of the Hispanic American Construction Industry Association. So my focus is on MBE, DBE, WBE, and VBE businesses, which are certifications that are given either through federal or state agencies. And this allows companies to really tap into what would be contract work. And my focus when I first started, now 15 years in, 13 of those years were in operations. I recently was given the opportunity to actually go out into community, talk to people, create these relationships, and it's really opened the door to build a client list. And I see myself more as a problem solver and someone that opens the door to allow for new opportunities. So we'll take a startup company that's just kind of getting off the ground, get the insurance requirements all in set so that they can start working for the tollway, they can start working for the city of Chicago, they can start bidding on these larger projects that really take them from infancy up until $1 million type organizations at the same focus when we're helping them achieve this is helping the company grow, the revenue grow, and all that. So I always look for a win-win-win partnership. And when you come across the right client, the right business owner that knows exactly what steps to take their business to the next level, and they're willing to accept the advice, the risk management guidelines, and the tools, that really is a win-win for everyone involved, because then you can see ultimate success. So I focus on business insurance, commercial insurance. So my focus again is construction, real estate, manufacturing, and making sure that the employees are safe, the company is safe, and any lawsuits that are brought on, any losses that are filed are properly covered. Because the last instance that you want to check your policies and when actually a claim takes place. So we try to do all the legwork up front so that you're able to focus on what you do best as a small business owner, is that just focus on your job, and then you let us take care of your business insurance needs and your risk management needs.
Thank you. I can't wait to ask some of the questions we have for you, Jose. And Anna, Maria, can you please share with us a little bit about your company and just some of the clients that you currently serve throughout the Chicagoland as well?
Sure. Thank you, both Jasmine and Kendra, for having me. Yes, we are a family business. We not only help, like I said, small companies from $1 million up, but we also have a startup division, like I said. And what that means is we have people even calling us before they're going to start, and we will answer questions. And what our philosophy is that we give bare bones and options, and you decide. And you don't have to decide right now, because we don't want, these startups to feel like they're going to be insurance poor. So what we do is we will follow you along during the year or years, and check in with you just to make sure you're, first of all, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that we're insuring you properly. And also, look at your sales and see if you could have any, maybe 1099s or workman's comp. We like to answer questions. Some of our niches are food packaging, hospitality, technology. My brother, like I said, is in hospitality. I also am a resource for a lot of the different small business resources that are in the city. My company is originally in Highwood, which is a northern suburb, but we also have an office in River North. But again, like Benny and Jose, we can go anywhere. The Zoom is fabulous. And we, like I said, we represent many insurance companies, so we can shop the insurance for you. So I tell people we can either help a dog walker or, insure a dynamite factory. So thank you again.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for those brief introductions, just to kind of kick us off. When we kind of reached out to you all, Kendra and I had this in mind as a conversation, because I think so many people are just scared to talk about insurance. And the pandemic taught us anything. It's like, no, you need to have insurance. And we need to talk about this, right? So to kick us off a little bit further into the conversation, we were curious if either, or just all of you, obviously, could share a little bit more about your kind of like tips or how exactly small business owners can have, and yourself, right, like have an effective conversation about insurance with their business partners and with their families. So it's just top of mind and not something that you kind of do like, at the bottom of the list. And we can start with Jose, if that's okay.
Sure. Thank you, Jasmine. So I sense, so I work, again, a lot with the Latino community, Hispanic, Latinx community, and it's almost taboo to talk about certain topics. And I'm sure Benny can attest to this. When you start asking people about their finances and how much money your company is going to be making, it's almost like a topic where people get really sensitive about that information, or they're guarded, or maybe they're prideful about what they're going to report. But it's very, very important that we get this information, because it allows us to do our job better. A part of our job is to uncover all the details of a business. And in order to have those conversations, I feel like it's almost where you have to lead with the worst case scenario of what can happen with a company if it's not properly insured. So you think about a company that maybe it's a construction company that has no workers' comp. And I see this all the time. If you have workers and you have no workers' compensation, one single claim can, spiral out of control. And all of a sudden you're out of pocket for over 100,000, 200,000. It can really derail your business. So if you start with not fear, but just talking about the consequences of what not having a properly insured business looks like, then from there you can say, well, now we are both on the same page that insurance is important. Let's talk about what type of insurance you need. And a lot of people think, okay, I've got insurance, I'm good to go. And then sadly, when a claim happens, then they find out that maybe the insurance policy or program that they have is not specifically suited to what they're doing. So that's the other obstacle, is making sure that you have the proper coverage for your proper exposures. And again, leading up with what can go wrong and giving solutions and offering ways to safeguard businesses and saying, if you're putting so much sweat, equity, blood into this business, the first thing that you want to do, and not the last thing, is you want to make sure you're protected going into it as you continue to grow.
Great, thank you. I feel like Vinny's he's like, I'm ready.
Well, yeah, because you mentioned COVID, so I'm going to talk a bit about life insurance in that regard. When the pandemic hit and we were all sheltering in place, I thought, well, life's going to be pretty slow for me. People aren't going to want to take my calls or call me, and that didn't happen. It was actually a lot of people actually, if you will, panic buying, because in a number of cases they thought about the question that I always ask people, and I encourage them to have that conversation with their family members and or their business partners, and that is, if God forbid you don't come home tomorrow, what do you want your life insurance to do? Do you have life insurance? What is it going to do? In other words, if you're the primary income earner in the household, and they were depending on you, their human life value needs to be protected. Do you have it protected for 1 year and you've got a 3-year-old in the house, or do you have it protected for 18, 20 years? What does that look like? It's a conversation that needs to be had, because, I think about the client I talked with a couple of days ago. They are positive for COVID, and they wanted to, well, when can they apply for life insurance? I said, well, when you go back to the doctor and you get tested and you no longer have COVID. And hopefully they will be able to do that at some point. The thing is, I had conversations with this individual before the beginning of the year, and they were, taking their time about it. But now they see the sense of urgency. So and I certainly, like Jose was saying, I have definitely talked to people that are concerned about talking about these taboo subjects. And if I talk about it, something bad can happen. But that's why they call it accidents. Accidents do happen, but you need to be prepared. And so it is a conversation that you need to have. But that's the first thing to do, particularly for an individual. And for a business owner, human life value protection is important. But then also, if you're in a partnership, and perhaps your business partner has a spouse that's going to inherit everything have it transferred at death, but that person knows nothing about your business, has no interest in your business, and couldn't wait to sell it once they get ownership of the business. Well, you wouldn't want that. So you'd want to have perhaps a buy-sell agreement, so that and a cross-purchase insurance plan, perhaps, so that I've got a policy on my partner, and my partner has one on me. If one of us predeceases the other, there's enough assets there to take over that other share and keep the business going. But the only way you're going to put that in place is to sit down and have that conversation, and then think that through and talk that through with a life insurance professional. And that's how it works.
Ana Maria, please.
Yeah, just a couple of things to piggyback off both of them. First of all, I feel that the reason why a lot of people don't call and ask for insurance, or because they're scared. They don't know the questions to ask. So don't feel bad. The agent is the one that's really supposed to be asking you the questions, and then, you'll start having conversations, and then you'll start be able to ask, questions. So that's one thing. Another thing is I would not buy insurance from someone that's going to just ask you over email your questions, because I will tell you, with a conversation, you get a lot more out of it than email. Another thing also is when someone does send you a proposal and tell you, oh, it's going to be $600. Don't accept that. Have them go over the proposal with you. And I will tell you that these small startups kind of get, passed over because a lot of agents, and I know Jose will, agree with me, that a lot of these agencies do not want to speak to small business because it might not, might be a waste of their time, they think. So, make sure you have a relationship with someone. That's what I say. Make sure if you don't like that person, you don't jive with them, go on to the next, because there are many agents out there that really want to help you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So you all have actually touched upon the next question a little bit. So Jasmine and I want to take a deeper dive. And so since COVID-19, so actually March of this year, we know that we've seen tremendous impacts, and you all have shared a little bit about that. But really, if you can you share with us, since COVID, how has the insurance industry changed, especially for a small business owner or someone who's seeking insurance? Are you seeing premiums increase? Are you seeing rates increase? And if so, what do you think really is attributing to that? Ana Maria, do you want to start?
First of all, and I know Jose will agree, our business insurance premiums have been creeping up. We are going into a called hard market. So it's not so easy to get you, a great price like it was before. There are some industries than others that are going up, faster than others. Another thing that I feel that is everybody during COVID should really look at their policies and go over them with their agent, because you might not have cyber. And if you have an employer or two that are working from home, you want to make sure you don't just have some small amount of expense, because again, there's a lot of these, hackers out there, and it costs, quite a bit of money. So make sure. And then also, if you are, I know during the protests, a lot of people that were looted did not have enough property coverage. So you want to make sure if you are selling a product that you do have the proper coverage. And even if you have brought it home with you, make sure that the products are covered, because no one should be really trying to rely on their home, renters, or condo policy, because those companies don't want anything to do with business insurance, to tell you the truth. So, okay.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria. And so actually, you touched upon a very, very, very important issue. The reason why Jasmine and I wanted to start doing some of these insurance series is because we've talked to several business owners who were impacted during the civil unrest in Chicago, and they didn't have enough coverage. And so now you have a store or a business that's sometimes in that community the only floral shop, the only bakery. And so not only is it that business owner is not getting the business, but the community has been stripped of what key things that community needs. So Jose, I know that you work and you shared a lot about working in, Latinx communities. Have you seen some of these same trends in those communities as well?
I have, Kendra. So one of the things that it was really a bombshell. So number one thing, the insurance industry has never seen anything quite like COVID. And it's in all the history of insurance, nothing like this has ever taken place. So as soon as COVID hit, every business owner policy, if you have a property policy tied to what's called the BOP, a business owner policy, which is a general liability and a property policy combined. And it's a beautiful product for small business owners. I have my business interruption insurance. My business is being interrupted because of COVID. I'm going to file a claim. I'm going to get paid. I'm back in business. What we found out, and it was the hard truth, was that the insurance industry responded that because COVID is not a physical damage that's being caused to a business, and it's almost an airborne virus. And because of what happened with SARS, the business interruption, all single claims have been denied across the United States. We're talking about thousands of businesses that have lost, access to these funds because in the insurance company's eyes, business interruption was set up for flood, fire, hurricane, even for an example of civil unrest. Someone comes, they bash in my store, that's a physical damage. Now, COVID is another beast because in insurance, there needs to be something called a trigger for coverage to apply. And the word trigger is very important because if there's no trigger, there's no coverage. So currently in the courts, Anna Marie, she can attest to this. We're looking at every court case. We're looking at every case that's in the court right now just to see how these judges are going to respond because as of right now, there haven't been any positive payouts for business interruption based on COVID. So unless there's something changed and there's a big legislation sweep that changes this, we expect that to go forward. So now that recourse is gone for a small business owner. So what's important now for the case of a civil unrest, now this is actually a good thing because if you do have business interruption and you do have building coverage and content coverage and you file a claim, that's physical proof. You shut down for a little while and now you're able to recoup. But now the problem was not every single business owner had this coverage. And if maybe they didn't check their policy and there was an exclusion for civil unrest, maybe there's exclusion for riots. But that's why it's important to take a look at what's going on. And from the COVID perspective, because you asked the question, how has the industry changed? What we've been doing is we're all hands on deck. Maybe before I was maybe working on bringing in new clients, but now it's more focusing on let's work on our clients, let's navigate them through these times. And two quick things that we've noticed that we can do to help them right away, two tips would be number one, if you're estimating for a year that you're going to make $1 million, but because of COVID now it's unstable and you think, well, that's going to be slashed in half, I'm going to make $500,000, then you can ask your insurance company or agent to make a midterm change to your policy and say, I was basing on $1 million, I'm only going to make $500,000, my premium payment should be cut 30%, 40%, and I want this change to take place now. So I can put more money in my pocket, focus on payroll, focus on what I need to do to keep my lights on. And then the second option that we've seen, that we've incorporated a lot is if I have a workers' comp policy and I have it set up where I'm estimating my payroll is going to be $100,000 for the year, COVID has come. Now I have employees that are not working full time, my payroll is going to actually be half of that. Well, I don't want to be paying 100% of the premium for every month because it's schedulized. I want to switch to something called as a pay-as-you-go program, where it means I report my monthly payroll each month, and if I run no payroll, I don't pay any premium. If I run less payroll, I pay less premium. But if I'm having a great month and my business is still going, and we've seen this in construction, then I want to report what I'm doing so that my premium that I'm paying is accurate to the payroll that I'm running, and I'm trying to keep as many dollars in my pocket because right now, these small businesses are doing everything they can to survive, whether it's the PPP loans, whether it's loans, whether it's friends, whether it's, marketing, whatever they can, pivoting to doing different services. They're trying to survive, and we're trying to be an ally for them as best we can because we're not the insurance company. We're the middleman between. So we're trying to do everything that we can to make sure that you keep the lights on.
Wow, that is great information, Ana Maria and Jose. Thank you. And I just wanted to go back to a couple of quick things that you all mentioned for our audience. So they've been reiterating that number one, you have to have a relationship with your insurance specialist, your insurance agent, and knowing what specifically is in your policy. That's the reoccurring thing that I continue to hear. And so, Benny, if you can definitely chime in, what are you seeing on the life insurance end since 19?
I'm not seeing any changes in rates. What I am seeing, again, is the industry really getting people to focus on the fact that we are in this pandemic. And if you do have an insurance need and you have the means to address that, don't hesitate because you don't want to have that, contract the virus and then be unable to do that. And then, that's generally how things tend to happen. When you don't have something, that's when you really most need it. So take advantage of that. And but on that point, what I've been doing with with my existing clients is calling them all and saying, hey, let's just talk. What's going on with you? Do we need to make any adjustments in things that you're doing? Do you have any questions and concerns and things of that nature? And I know also a number of insurance companies, when it comes to life insurance, are helping folks right now to make payment adjustments and get on payment plans if they're struggling. They're also, in some cases, suspending those medical exams that you get. When someone maybe comes to your home to get your blood and urine and all of that, if you don't want to do that because of COVID concerns, they're suspending that depending upon the coverage amounts and things of that nature. But the bottom line is, given that we are in this pandemic, things can happen, and you shouldn't hesitate to take advantage of it. But the good thing is, whatever that cost of insurance was before the pandemic, from what I'm seeing, it's still the same. It's just a matter of you sitting down and taking the time to address what your particular need is, and then doing what you can to address it.
Thank you, everyone. This is all great. I'm loving it, and I know our audience is loving it. The information is so needed. Now we understand that, especially when it comes to Ana Maria and Jose, you have niche, like small businesses that you help out. Like I know Jose, construction, manufacturing. But if you could, I think something else that scares folks is not having just even an idea of what the number looks like, right? When it comes to how much do I have, like how much do I need to protect my business and my employees? And I mean, how much do I have, right? So if, both of you, all three of you can chime in a little bit, as a small business owner, how much do you recommend, and how much insurance is needed to protect the business and employees, and just estimates? Because I know we covered this in the beginning, right? Like it's very tailored to the person. And if you're not getting someone that's asking you all these specific questions, then steer away, right? But yeah, Ana Maria, would you like to chime in first, please?
Yeah, like I was saying before, it just depends, and Jose is going to agree with me, what you're doing. And also, it really should not be the agent's job to tell you what you need. We should be giving you options and you decide. And so, like I said, to have that conversation instead of over email, that is why you want to talk to that agent, have a good relationship with them, because then whatever, a lot of it depends on sales, payroll, what you're doing. There's different classifications. So I'll tell you, like I said, someone who has a retail shop is going to be paying less than someone that's washing windows. And you can see it's the risk. So,
And that's something that I think we wanted to make sure that we got out of this webinar, right? A lot of folks think that it's kind of like a one size fits all. Let me share this one pager with you on like the average cost for X, Y, and Z, and that's just not how it works. So I appreciate you being so candid and like, no, you need someone that's actually going to ask you X, Y, and Z, like you mentioned, the differences between sales or someone in retail, in a different industry. So I don't know, Jose, if you have anything to add to that at all. Just maybe even like questions that they should be considering, like, or should be prompted by the broker.
Sure, Jasmine. So what I'll add to that, and Ana Maria is right on point, it all depends on what your business is doing. So an attorney is going to need different coverage. They're going to need errors and omissions. It's more of a professional risk. A manufacturing company is going to need product recall for anything that they're bringing out there. A construction company is going to need for the completed operations, for any work that they've done, for when they're on the job and when the job is done. So it really all depends on the risk. But one of the things, and I work with startup companies frequently, and the first thing they want to make sure is, I don't want to price myself out where I've got to just pay for insurance and I'm not making any profit. So one thing that I assure them, I'm like, well, it's all based on the amount of sales or the payroll that you're going to be having. And because you're just in the startup phase, your insurance cost is only going to be reflective of what you're going to be letting the insurance company know. And because you're not an established company yet, it's all estimated. If I'm starting my company, I can estimate that I'm going to make $2 million. But at the end of the year, when I work with my CPA, he's going to say, oh, Jose, you only made $100,000. So I don't want to tell the insurance company I'm going to be making $1 million when in reality, my estimate is almost closer to $100,000. So my tip for small businesses would be, if you're going to err on the side of caution, especially during COVID and with all of the possibility of a looming shutdown taking place again, maybe you want to start looking at getting your insurance or your exposures, what you anticipate as sales and payroll, on the lower end of the scale as opposed to the higher end of the scale. And if you do go over these numbers, insurance companies perform what's called an audit. And most times general liabilities and worker compensation policies are auditable. So if you go over the number you estimated, that's actually a good thing, because it means you brought out more work, you paid out more payroll, and then you'll have more money to pay out whatever is owed at the end of the year. And on the flip side, if you don't perform to the amounts that you estimated, the insurance company is obligated to give you what's called a return premium. So you're going to get money back because you estimated too high, and that's back in your pocket. So one of the things, and Anna Marie hit the nail on the head, you have to have a conversation. You can't just send an application and then, and this application is just, black and white. But when you have a conversation, they might say something, oh yeah, and by the way, I'm also going to be doing masonry. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, you can't just pick up a different operation in your company. You have to be square with me so I can represent it, because if you have a claim, we want to make sure that that's paid out. So it's really, really conversational. There shouldn't be any fear involved. It's more of a, kind of guessing game. And once you have your first year in operations, then you have an idea of where you're going to go. You're either going to go higher, you're going to go lower, you're going to change your operations. You have a better baseline. So to start off, it should be painless. And as your company continues to grow, that insurance cost is going to continue to grow, but it's going to be, it's going to be proportionate to the amount of work that you're bringing on.
Thank you, Jose. Benny,
You're welcome.
May I say one more word for that too?
Yeah, go for it.
Thing is, I want everybody to know that this is not like buying a car insurance. So that's why when someone says it's $600-700, you need to find out what is included and what's excluded. So that's again why you should have a relationship. But again, do not go price first. What is covered? Sorry for.
No, it's totally fine. This exactly why we're here. You're giving some great tips, and I'm sure everyone's over here kind of vigorously writing them out. For Benny, I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit on the other side. We speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, freelancers, and I don't even think some of them think about insurance at all. Just conversations, right? So might you be able to chime in a little bit more on like how do I know how much life insurance is needed? How do I consider this? Should I have a combination of a whole or term policies? What does this look like?
Yeah. Well, first, if you're talking to a life insurance professional about that, that person should want to educate you on those various things, particularly what kinds of life insurance. There's basically two types: term, temporary, or just pure insurance, which is the most inexpensive way to protect your income earning ability due to a loss of life. And then there's permanent. And that's it could be various things: whole life, what have you, cash value life insurance. It may make sense to have a combination of both. But the first thing you need to do is make sure, like I said earlier, getting the answer to that question. If you don't come home tomorrow, what's going to happen with life insurance? Do you have enough? Do you have an insurance gap? And that working with that professional, you can get your human life value calculated. Some people call it your survivor income needs calculation. And you can actually do it yourself at a fantastic website. It's a not-for-profit organization called lifehappens.org. And you can go there and calculate your human life value. You can go there and get educated about various kinds of life insurance. They also can educate you on disability insurance, so that when you do sit down, it's not all hitting you at once, and you have a general idea of what things are about, and have some idea of what your your human life value is. You know, it may be kind of sound kind of morbid, but I do strongly believe that a lot of people are not. Um, uh, they don't understand how much or how expensive it is for them to die. You know, they may think, oh, I've got a small whole life policy to to make sure that I get buried so my family is good. You know, and I always say to that, you make sure that you could get buried, but if you were the number one income earner in the household, you may have also buried the family in debt, and that wasn't your plan, and that's going to, that could be the same with jeopardizing your business partners. You need to make sure you have an adequate amount, and that you can address that adequate amount in a cost-effective way. And you should work with the insurance professional. And like Anna Maria said, ask all the questions in the world. Make sure you understand how this particular instrument works, and then see how best it fits for you. But the key word there is get educated.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. So Jasmine and I have a few more questions, and I know that we have a few people in the audience that have some questions for you guys. We definitely want to be respectful, and we want to make sure that we do get to their questions as well. So the $1 million question that Jasmine and I always come across from a lot of our entrepreneurs and business owners, documentation. So when people are looking to obtain business insurance or life insurance, what are some of the top documents when you think about things that are needed? Because a lot of the time we see that people don't have this documentation and it can prolong the process. So Jose, if you can actually just share with us really quickly, when you think about people that are looking for business insurance, what documentation is needed so that they can move forward to the next step to getting their actual claim approved or their policy?
Sure, Kendra, and you bring up a great question, because documentation and information are probably the number one items that we would need to start getting to quote. So when I go to an underwriter and I say I have a business here that's looking for insurance, the underwriter is naturally going to have questions. One of the first things that a company should have and establish is an FEIN number or a tax ID number. That number is going to allow them to register their business. It's going to allow them to get access to workers' compensation. So as soon as they establish their LLC, their corporation, partnership, sole proprietorship, then with that FEIN number, we're able to gather some information. So it's just information regarding the company, when it started, your sales, things that we've already covered. However, taking it a step further, if I'm going to be insuring a construction company, for example, because I see this all the time, I'm going to be asking them, well, let me see a copy of your safety program. Let me see a copy of some subcontractor agreements that you're working. If you're a general contractor and you're working with subcontractors, let me see what type of risk transfer you have in place. So when I go back to the underwriter, I can sell this good story, because that's what we're doing. We're kind of storytellers in a way as a broker, because we have to say, this is a risk that you want to provide insurance for, and you want to give them the best rate because they're doing all the right things, as opposed to coming to them and saying, well, this is all the information I could gather from them, and they don't have a lot of money, so give me the best quote you have. It's two different playing fields. We want to be on this side where we're developing a great story, a great narrative. So as much information as you can gather, the better. And again, partnering with an agent or a broker that knows their market, that has good relationships with their underwriters, so that they can maybe ask for a favor. I came across recently a demolition company, a startup, that we couldn't get any insurance company from the standard market. I had to almost pull a favor and set this company up so that they can have everything in place so that I can finally get a quote that I can present, because in insurance, there's something called the standard market and there's something called the ENS market, surplus lines. When no insurance company is giving you coverage in a standard market, you got to go ENS route, excess and surplus lines. And the costs here are 2 to 3 times higher than if you can get into the standard market. So documentation is very important, and being able to tell a story to the underwriters is important as well. So entrepreneurs, all depending on what they're doing, and it all depends on what kind of systems they have in place. But if you set these things up from the start, as you continue to grow, you already have an idea of what you'll need to gather for the next year, because insurance is going to come up each year. It's a 1-year term for most 99% of the time. So you're going to go through this exercise year after year. You're going to get really good at it once you become a business owner and become seasoned.
Anna Maria, do you have any quick tips or things that can help with the documentation portion for
Yeah, just a couple of things. First of all, you know, it is better to have a, you know, set up as a corp or an LLC. I mean, you can get insurance, but I will let you know that you really don't want to have your, you know, your name exposed, because if something happens and you don't have enough insurance, they can go after your bank account or anything that you have. So you want to make sure that, you know, you do talk to an accountant. I think, to me, it's less expensive to go to an accountant to help you figure that out than an attorney. Another thing is, if you have contracts, if you don't get anything else out of this, you know, webinar, don't sign a contract until you show your insurance agent the insurance requirements. Because I will let you know, and Jose probably can attribute this, is people sign the contract, do the job, then come back and say, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get paid until you send them proof. I tell them, send me the contract. By the time we increase their insurance, there was so much that the payments, they didn't make any money. So if you don't sign it, then you can go back, because a lot of these insurance requirements are just template for everybody. And really, again, whatever we ask you for, and I think that's another thing that really causes us to not be able to go to the next, you know, in the process, is giving us information. If some of these risks, you have to fill out applications. If you don't want to fill it out or don't like filling it out, call your agent, make an appointment, and ask them to go over it with you. You know, we should be asking you, hey, here's the application. If you want to set up a time with us, we will help you fill it out. It's not like you're, you know, we think that you can't do it. It's just a pain in the neck. And we know everybody's busy. And some of these questions are weird. So that's...
Thank you. Benny, if you can just share a little bit from the life insurance side, what documentation is needed that people are doing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when you're applying for a basic life insurance policy, you need to be able to prove that you are who you say you are. So you need to have a driver's license, or if you don't drive, a state ID or a passport. But then when you're talking with that life insurance professional, and you may be looking to do something with cash value life insurance, you want to maybe tuck away a portion of what you're putting away for retirement or what have you into a life insurance contract. You'll want to be able to share with that agent a statement on your retirement account, your tax returns, and what have you, because that can help with some of the strategy around that. Because when we talk about permanent life insurance, it's a way that you can use that vehicle to grow money tax deferred, take it out tax free, so tax diversify what you're doing in your overall portfolio. And the way to do that would be to make sure that you understand where things are currently and where you're putting money away, etc. When it comes to a buy-sell agreement, like I said before, if you've got a cross-purchase plan you're trying to put together with that business partner, what's the value of your business? So you need to make sure you have a business valuation. You can go online and do that, or you can find a professional or consultant to help you with that evaluation. But you do need to make sure you understand, you know, just what is this business worth if someone were, if I were trying to sell it, or if someone were trying to buy it, what's the worth of that? Because that's how much you're going to need to make sure you protect through life insurance in that cross purchase plan. So that's a key element that you need to have as well.
Thank you so much. So we do have a few questions that actually have come in from our audience. So we want to allow time. So the first question is that, just with the uncertainty of the economy, what kind of coverage is available if this particular client has a customer and they are not able to pay any of their invoices because they have filed for bankruptcy? So is there anything to protect the business owner if they may have shipped product, or they may have provided services and now this person may be out of work, or they may have filed bankruptcy?
I could take this question if you don't mind. So we've talked about today life insurance. We've talked today about business insurance. Well, there's a third party, another group that we haven't talked about, and that's called credit insurance. So credit insurance is insurance that you can obtain against any receivables. So if I am, let's say, and I always use a lumber company, for example, and I've shipped out $100,000 worth of lumber to these contractors, and I find out that the contractors have now gone bankrupt, and I'm now sitting with $100,000 worth of receivables that I can't collect on, well, then I make a file and a claim against my credit insurance. The credit insurance will pay me 100% to the dollar, and then they would go ahead and use the subrogation and start getting that money and start chasing and collecting from those contractors that have gone bankrupt. They have the resources to do that. They have the manpower to do that. I'm me as a business owner, I've had so much that I need to focus on. The last thing I want to do is become a bill collector to try to get money back. And we're talking about some serious dollars. So that's what typically you would look for is a credit insurance. And we do have partners that we use. And there's an individual out there by the name of Jay Jara. He's a broker for credit insurance, and he's a great resource. So perhaps we can share his contact, find a way to share his contact information as well.
Thank you. Wow. That I didn't know about that one. So that's a great one. I hope that answers our panel, our actual participants' question. Thank you so much, Jose. We did get another question. So how long does a company have to be in business to be bonded for construction projects? Jose or Anna, did you guys?
Yeah, Anna Marie, do you want to take this one? And then I can chime in.
You can go first.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about insurance, and insurance is something where there's a bunch of markets out there that are offering you coverage, and they usually don't shy away. You'll find somebody to say yes, typically, from whatever weird operations you're doing. If you pay enough money, you'll get coverage. Surety and bonds, if you're not familiar with what a bond is, it's an agreement between, let's say, me and the Illinois Tollway. Mm-hmm. And the Tollway says, you're going to bid on this project. It's $1 million. Your company, we believe that you can do it, but in case you cannot complete this work, it has to continue on, and we're going to put a claim on this bond, and we're going to use this bond to grab another contractor to finish this work, and at the same time, the bond company is going to come after you for the expenses to complete this job. So a bond is both good because it opens the door to more opportunities, but it's bad because it could put people out of business. Now, what you need to get a bond, it's not like insurance where they just ask a bunch of questions. A bond is more like a bank loan. It's like a line of credit. So they're going to start looking at things like if your company has just started out and you don't have a financial history for your company, then they're going to look at your personal history. So they're going to look at your credit score. They're going to look at if your company's in good financial standing. They're going to look at do you have a work in progress schedule? Are you getting paid for your jobs? And you got to paint a really nice financial picture so that you can start with a bond. And a bond can start off as low as $100,000, $250,000, and you grow your bond capacity over time. I've never seen an instance where, now you're bidding on $1 million project, you've never had a bond, and a surety company is going to say, oh yeah, we'll bond you for $1 million. Sure. No history, no relationship. Yeah. So it's kind of like a build-up process, but bonding is available to companies as they start. It's just a different experience, and you need a different a broker or agent to walk you through that process as well.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to also say is please give us time to get the bond, and any insurance. I'm going to say, I'm sure all three of us will say, if you really need insurance the next day, don't expect to get, I'm going to say, the best, competitive pricing or coverage. We like to give at least 5 to 7 days. So that's just my tip as far as that.
Thank you. We have one more question that came in really quickly, and then I will turn it over to Jasmine. So the question is around credit insurance. So is credit insurance for non-businesses available upon death? So if there's an issue with something happening and someone passes away, is that available if, I guess, someone maybe shipped product or they did services and then that person passes away? Would that be, I guess, a good time to talk about credit insurance? I know, Jose, you were kind of mentioning or alluding toward this as well too a little bit.
Correct. And as far as my, I know enough about credit insurance to be dangerous, but as far as a question about is it something that you can claim upon death, that all depends on how the policy is written. That all depends if there's an exclusion on there. So to just answer blindly, it's almost where it'll be something that you would, if you have credit insurance set up. And this is a perfect example of business insurance. If a question that's asked and it's theoretical, we're not in the position to respond on it because we don't know what the insurance company is going to respond. A lot of this actually reminds me of when COVID was first a whisper and it was coming across and we saw it happening in China, things being closed down. And all of a sudden the questions were like, wait a minute, if COVID comes, would I get paid out? And we were put in a weird position as a broker, as an agent, because we're like, well, we're not sure because no claims have been filed yet. So we don't know if they're going to say yes or no. My personal insight, I was thinking, well, it interrupted the business, so technically there should be some sort of coverage there. We found out the hard way that there isn't, and even more importantly, we found out that the numbers are because it's insurance is a pool game. It's a risk of pool. You have a bunch of people that are covered getting premium to cover those few that have losses. Now, what COVID did was it shut down everyone. So now, if they did the numbers, if the insurance companies paid out for business interruption for just 1 month, that would equal $1 trillion in premium in losses paid out to these companies, which would essentially cripple the insurance industry. Which is why you can see why they take such a hard stance on not paying out claims, because if they did, it would open up the floodgates to pretty much bankrupt an entire industry.
Wow, thank you. I mean, we're definitely at time, but clearly this is an important topic. We have questions, people are engaging, but I think at the end of it, we got what we wanted, and it was to start getting our audience and our folks thinking about this, thinking about why it's necessary. So we really appreciate it. To close us off, please. I mean, I see Benny already on it. I was just going to kick it off to him first too. Please share your contact information and also any parting advice, any parting words you have for our audience members, those that watch the recording and those that are on right now, for when they're looking for insurance, what should they be thinking about? Benny?
Well, I always say it starts with the conversation and then getting educated. So if I'm having an initial conversation, and that should be the case with any insurance professional. It's to get acquainted and then to help you, the potential client, understand what the options are based on what your expressed needs are. But again, it always starts with a conversation. And I was just going to add that I put my information in the chat. You could also find all of my stuff by just Googling Benny Curry space MBC, and it's all there, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all of that. And I'm always glad to have a conversation.
Jose?
So my parting words would be, if you're a business owner, at least have those conversations, like Benny said, have those conversations about what it means to be covered, to have coverage. And again, it's not something that you should shy away from. Think of your insurance broker as a partner, the same way that you would think of a CPA, the same way that you would think of an attorney. Think of us as an extension of your team. And one of the reasons that I feel that I've been successful is because I am fluent in Spanish. Insurance is already hard enough to understand in English, let alone when English is not your first language. I'm literally speaking the same language as most of my clients. So that allows us to have a really a deeper relationship, a deeper understanding, and able to provide the proper coverage for those companies.
Ana Maria?
My final words I'm going to say is relationship. Like I said, make sure that your agent is asking you a lot of questions and make sure you feel comfortable. And again, there are a lot of agents out there, so, you know, you really are in the driver's seat.
Thank you so much. Immense gratitude for all of this. Jose, if you don't mind, please sharing your contact information before we log off. And for everyone joining us today, I really appreciate you. We really appreciate you. I know Kendra and I are enthused that we can provide this kind of content and information for you. Just want to thank you all again for joining us and reminding everyone that a recording of today's conversation, along with others, are featured on our social media and our special COVID-19 business resource portal, ChiBizHub.com/COVID-19 support. As well, we encourage you to follow us on all our social media for links to future webinars, grants, and information to help you better run your business during these challenging times. On behalf of everyone at World Business Chicago and ChiBizHub, we wish you and yours good health and peace of mind. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Take care.